Welcome to Man at the Tap, a podcast from Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna. It nourishes our souls, fostering spiritual growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Today is Thursday, July the 17th, 2025, in the fifth week after Pentecost during the season of ordinary time. This is a time for us to live an extraordinary, disciplined life as we experience spiritual growth. The lectionary reading is from the Songbook of the Bible, Psalm 15. The poet, King David, begins the five-verse poem with the question, Lord, who can sojourn in your tent? Who may live on the mountain of your holiness? The poet wonders who would make a suitable guest in God's home. He recalls that God's ancient dwelling was once in the tabernacle, a fragile cloth structure that traveled with the people during the 40 years they spent wandering in the wilderness from Egypt to the promised land. And now, during his time, God's presence was in a sacred, solid place, the temple on Mount Zion in Jerusalem. God had remained faithful to his people through the changing times of their existence. The poet describes an ideal guest who would enjoy living in God's home. The guests would walk with integrity, do what is right, and speak truth from their heart. Most importantly, though, they would live life based on God's wisdom. The ideal guest in God's home would refrain from negative actions, such as speaking unkindly and spreading harmful gossip about others within the home. They would not criticize or humiliate someone that they considered a friend, nor harm the good reputation of a neighbor. The ideal guest would keep the promises they made even when it did not benefit them. And regarding legal matters, the ideal guest in God's home would reject taking bribes and would stay committed to fairness in court. They would not exploit vulnerable members of society by charging exorbitant interest rates on loans. The poet stands outside the place of worship, wondering how to get on the guest list. He is on the guest list. He can enter into God's home and live in God's presence because of Jesus Christ, whose death and resurrection grant access to God through faith in him. Jesus never strayed from his relationship with God or his trust in God, and it is through Jesus that we too can dwell in God's home. The poet also invites us to reflect on our behavior as we live in God's world. When we fail to walk with integrity, both in our words and actions, we can ask for God's forgiveness. God will forgive us as we seek to restore our relationship with Him and our neighbor.